Hi, and welcome to the Faxon blog and podcast.
We have our Ion ultralight rifle that has a 16-inch pencil barrel that we take it out and it gets shot full auto. But even after shooting 2 or 3 mags of full auto, you can still hit a man-sized silhouette steel target with a red dot at 250 yards.
Let's go ahead and move to our pencil profile. Now, the big thing with this, and I think we should probably address it up front, is the historical reputation of pencils. So I'm not saying our pencil barrel, since we've been around since 2012, but we're talking historical, I don't know, what would you say, Mark, 60s, 70s, 80s, when people were first trying to make pencil barrels and they were just kind of like straw tubes, they couldn't do the same type of manufacturing stuff that we do.
I mean, the original AR-15 was pencil. So that was kind of the idea, lighter weight, easier on the soldier and so forth. I think the heat relieving has improved quite a bit since then. And that's what differentiates the barrels from then till now. With the proper heat stress relief, groups are going to open up when the barrel's hot, and that's going to happen. But generally the center of the average of the group doesn't move. So it gets larger or smaller depending upon how hot or cool it is. So from that viewpoint, the technology on the stress relief has really helped these things perform better.
For sure. And something you mentioned too was, our barrels, our pencil profile barrels are what's going into the, what would Stoner do rifle from, in-range and Brownells. And, so we've gotten a reputation with it, but kind of what are your insights on the pencil profile, both, yesterfar and today?
Yeah. On the historical side of things, the real limitation has been the stress relieving, especially back in the Colt SP1 days. They just did not have the technology and the science available, that we have available to us now. So if you look at the What Would Stoner Do project, which InRange TV did a whole series of videos on that are great to watch if you go check them out on YouTube. They did a specific video comparing our pencil barrel to a Colt SP1, and they basically shot a 5-round group, dumped an entire magazine as quickly as possible, and then laid back down and shot another 5-shot group. And what they're trying to show is that the center of the group still stays the same with a properly stress relieved modern pencil barrel, whereas with the Colt SP1 barrel, the groups were kind of all over the place. Like you couldn't pick a center point of the group because it was flinging rounds, high right, low left, way off the target, so it was kind of all over the place. Whereas with the modern pencil barrels, the groups will open up, like Mark said, they will get larger in size, but your point of aim and point of impact is not going to shift.
Now, something that you mentioned there is obviously heat, and how they, as the barrel heats up, regardless of profile, is going to impact your grouping. Whether that's 5 shots or 10 shots or however many, as long as that barrel keeps heating up, you're probably going to see that expand a bit. And Mark, when you and I were talking earlier, I keep thinking of heat dispersion and heat distribution, and I think you put it in better terming with heat saturation. Yes, the pencil barrels heat up quicker, but they also cool down quicker. Could you just say, maybe share some of the perks of that, or maybe the shortfalls of that, or what you think maybe people don't think of when they're thinking about heat and pencil barrels?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why paper punching guys use heavy barrels. They can shoot them hot and they keep their groups better longer. These barrels, there's not as much material there, so it does heat up quicker, and you're going to see that group open up. But with the point of impact not changing, the average, the middle not changing, if you're ringing steel at a couple hundred yards, it's really not going to affect you that much. The other thing is they do cool off quick, and as they cool off, the group will shrink back down. So, for sustained rates of fire, probably not your best choice, but for going fast, and the guys with the race guns and the guys doing the lightweight builds, this has been their barrel of choice.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing to hit on, is just the fact that this is kind of the bread and butter in the lightweight game. There's so much, mass can be reduced, so much overall weight can be reduced in your gun if you are able to drop the weight on the barrel. And I know that some folks have talked to us that, they love this for competition, especially in certain competitions. You're doing other things and then you get to the AR, you know what I mean? Then you have to pick up that lightweight. And at that point, like it's like you're measuring grams, like any gram of weight I could take off to make this easier, in the competition while still maintaining accuracy, is a very big deal.
Yeah, that's a really important thing when it comes to accuracy. A lot of people get very caught up in the pinpoint ultra precision definition of accuracy and, can I shoot a dime sized group at 800 yards, which is a great thing to do. And there's barrels and guns that are specifically designed for things like that, and they're not going to look like an AR with a pencil barrel generally. Where you get into the realm of practical and functional accuracy, you can see a lot of great benefits of a pencil barrel. We have our Ion ultralight rifle that has a 16-inch pencil barrel that we take it out and it gets shot full auto. But even after shooting 2 or 3 mags of full auto, you can still hit a man-sized silhouette steel target with a red dot at 250 yards. So a lot of it's going to be, your impression of it's going to be dictated by, the kind of how you define your situation. If it's practical use, general use, you want to be able to, even if it's a little hot, be able to hit, a man size or a chest size target at reasonable distances. It's perfect for that.
Yeah. This is so important to point out because you're right. You're exactly right as far as like practical accuracy and functional accuracy and kind of what people think like you were saying, that dime sized dot at 800 yards. I mean, if that is your home defense worry, that's a big worry. You know what I mean? Like that's it. If you got to be shooting bumblebees out of the sky, at 800 yards, then maybe not the pencil barrel for you. But one thing I do want to ask with this, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up on it, but thinking about weight, thinking about building lightweight guns, which so many of these go into. And we're talking about like reciprocating mass and all this. Like, how does, a lightweight build versus like your standard traditional, SOCOM profile kind of full body build, compare as far as like in felt recoil and things like that? Like what are kind of the bigger differences, or how would you describe it to someone who's getting ready to shoot one for the first time?
A lot of that's going to be determined by the other parts you choose. So if we take a step back to step one is defining your role. So we're going to start with, we want to do an ultralight build. Now there's a lot of different forms that can take, with the first being just put a lightweight barrel on there, take a little bit of weight out of the front end, use standard mil-spec style parts in every other part of the gun. And in that situation, you're just going to have a slightly lighter gun. It's going to be a little less heavy out on the front end, but you're not going to see any real differences as far as general function and recoil and things along those lines. Where the ultralight parts and the lighter weight parts really start to shine is when you're doing a more tuned system. So if you take your pencil profile barrel, you just shave some weight off the front end and you pair that with a lightweight bolt carrier group. You put your lightweight bolt carrier group in, you're shaving a few more ounces out of the build, so your overall weight is down. The other big thing you're doing there is you're lowering the reciprocating mass when you shoot. Now that lighter mass typically needs to be offset with either an adjustable gas block or a heavier buffer. For our Ions, we do an H buffer with an adjustable gas block so that you're still getting, proper lock time and everything that you need, for proper function. But what the adjustable gas block does is it only allows enough gas into the system that is needed to function properly. So then at that point, you're not getting the excess force into the system, which causes, more recoil or may cause things like bolt bounce. You're just having enough gas to cycle properly and reliably. And since you've pulled a few ounces out of that bolt carrier group, now you have less mass moving back and forth, which is less felt recoil.
Hi and welcome to the Faxon blog and podcast.